Well, we are back, baby. Welcome back to the Camp Podcast, hosted by myself, Andrew Stravers, and
Ryan Weddle.
And today, we've got a very special guest. Who do we have on the podcast today, Ryan?
Yeah, so last week I wore a shirt that was way too big for me, and it was gifted to me by this guy right here, our next guest. And some would say like I was swimming in that shirt, so I thought we should have somebody on who actually swims in t-shirts. It's Mouse Powell.
Wow, dude, what an intro.
I told you I had something.
Yeah, you must have workshopped that one.
That was
Yeah,
great.
it was like 10 minutes ago. It's really good.
We got Mouse Powell on the podcast today. Hello, Mouse.
Hi, guys. How are you?
How you doing?
I'm good.
Am I the first return guest?
No.
Tanner.
Tanner beat me.
Yeah, you're second. You're not as important as him. Just second. You're second best.
understandable.
That's why we made you come after. You know what I'm saying? But
I get it. I
but-
get it.
You see, the thing about this podcast is that we're all in a band with
Yeah.
with Tanner, not you.
Oh, this
Yeah.
whole time?
Yeah.
the whole time.
All those
So-
times I was the merch guy, I just assumed I was.
So like whenever I
a
make
little
like
bit
my
higher on
worst
the org
guitar
chart.
part, I'll text it to you or whatever. But other than that, it's all.
Yeah, and it's
Tanner.
crazy that I was telling Ryan, should we tell Mouse beforehand this news? And he was like, no, let's tell him on air
Yeah, break it to him in front of
in front of the
internet.
masses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played Red Rocks 3 times. I've said it every single episode of this podcast so far. No shit. So yeah, Mouse has been a very good friend of ours for a very long time. We have early like one of our first headlining tours. I think you were on, and we've just known you forever. We've been working on a bunch of new shit that we will get into later into the pod, but. Very excited to have you here. I love you, Mouse.
I love you too. This
We
is
love
nice.
you.
Should we go around and say nice things about each
Let's
other?
publicly admit we love Mouse.
Wait, so when we were on tour, we would get fucked up, and then me and Mouse would look at each other, and we'd be like, all right, you have to say something nice. And we would just say, like, we'd have a nice off where we would just, like, try to say the nicest thing we could to the other person without breaking character.
Yeah.
And then, like, very quickly would just get super, like, backhanded compliments. Like, I really love how you are so into your craft that you can't take the time to help us load in every single fucking day.
Yeah, and like I love that you focus on like your arms look so good. It's clear that that's the only place that you're like really putting the effort, but it shows. You're putting so much into it.
Okay, I have something to say about that because just like an hour ago, not even, there's a guy that works here at the podcast studio, and he was a professional NFL player, and he was in the Super Bowl, and the first thing he said to me was, hey, did you play any professional sports? He didn't say professional, he just said sports. He said,
did not happen.
I swear to God, we were just in there, and he goes, did you play any sports?
No,
and he
I just
said,
play the
He said, you're
bass.
looking like this, and I was like, yeah, I did, and then I realized he was serious because I thought he was fucking with me, obviously. and then he's like, oh, really? Like, what did you do? I was like, oh, no, like I've never played sports.
That's the blind guy that works next door, right?
Yeah, he did
Okay.
have a stick. I thought he was just I thought he was like a weapon or something.
Did you play any sports? Could I touch your face?
She's beautiful.
Shit.
Wow. Yeah. No, it's nice to be back.
Yeah, dude.
That game was really fun too because we would play two versions of it, and it was always at gas stations. And the first version is like the compliment game where you go back and forth and you say like nice things, and then that evolved into us just saying who could say I love you while looking the other one right in the eyes.
I forgot.
And it would start off just like very casual. It'd be like, I love you. And then like it would get to the point where it'd be like, I love you. And you would like whisper it.
I love you.
And then we played the opposite of that game, which was the fuck you game. And we would just start off with like, it's kind of like playing the penis game in high school where you have a substitute teacher and each time you have to level
Wait,
it up
you
a
used to
little
play with your substitute teacher's penis? Look at this. No.
But it would just evolve into me and Ryan yelling "fuck you" back and forth at each other,
Yeah.
like full.
We would just
full
be at
volume.
a gas station in Kansas being like, fuck you. No, my favorite of that tour, like that,
Well, first
that
of all,
tour
that-
was rough.
That was our first headlining tour that we ever did as a band. So it was right after our first big tour in 2014 with Dirty Heads playing amphitheaters. And then we weren't really getting a tour after that. So we're like, all right, fuck it. Let's do our own headlining tour. And we had just dropped Strange Nights, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Or was it Strange Nights?
Yeah, it
or
was.
Yeah,
what?
because it was
damn.
Make Nights Strange Again was the tour, right?
Yeah, or
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that. So we did our first headliner tour, and we ate some shit on some of those nights. Like, there were not people at some of those shows.
Nobody ate more shit on that tour than our friend Mouse Powell. Because
Yeah, it's 'cause
not
he was
only-
opening.
He opened for us, and then we also had him do our merch so that he could be, because he drove with with us because obviously
Yeah.
you're not going to drive by yourself the whole thing. So he did our merch, but then we'd be like, all right, Mouse, you got to go up, and it would be like the sound guy.
Yeah,
And
and
us.
I had like trimmed my set down too, so I didn't have Danny with me or anybody. Like I didn't have like a DJ. It was just me. Like
I think that was before Danny was doing shit with you a lot, right?
nah, he's been involved forever, but it was I would like be like triggering the songs off of like an MPC or like a little like MPK.
Dude, I think it was like an iPhone. I think it was like an iPod.
No, yeah, I had
He had a
it
computer.
mini mapped. It
Oh,
was
you
all
did?
mini mapped onto a keyboard.
Oh yeah, those little keyboards. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would start triggering it, but then it'd be like when you're really eating shit and there's nobody else eating shit on stage with you. It is a lonely
and
process.
then you had to go sell our merch.
Yeah. I'll see you guys over at the Catastro merch table after this.
We would bomb, and then go hide behind the stage after.
Yeah,
I feel
You'd
like
bomb
that made us better friends, I think. Like we definitely ate some shit together.
Okay, the one night I remember on that tour, the two things I remember about that tour is the van blowing out.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh, wait, what did I say? This is my favorite tweet I've ever done.
That's the funniest thing you've ever said. The van broke down in Ozona, Texas, and he sent out a tweet that said, "We just blew 9 Pistons and we're not even in Detroit."
that was our white van, right?
Yeah, dude. It was Caucasian, I think. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Dude, so we would do the fuck you games and then back to like eating shit on the tour.
Yeah.
I remember one we played in like Santa Cruz or
No,
something.
it was Humboldt County.
or something where there was literally 0 people.
Humboldt, yeah.
And so I was like, hey guys, we all should go to the front of the stage and just stand right in front for his entire set. And so we all just stood
Just
there.
the four members of Catastro.
4 members of Catastro standing there watching him. We'd be like, you're doing a great job. And there's like 3 people behind us watching it. And then, it's so funny. Because like sometimes people would show up and like they would, like for our set, but then there'd be nobody in the room during your set.
Yeah.
And then after the show, we'd be like, dude, that was a good show. Like that was pretty good for our like first headlining show in the city or whatever. And you'd be like, it was like the worst show I've ever played. Like, it was like the worst city.
There was a handful of shows too where like I was the first act and like my start time wasn't like, oh, you play at 9. We played one in Vegas at like a fucking Topgolf, I think.
No, yeah, we literally played at Topgolf.
It was Topgolf and it was like you play after the Cubs game ends.
And didn't they come up to you right before the set and tell you that you had to do it clean?
As I'm walking on, I'm like walking out to go start. They're like, hey, real quick, just before you go up, just like nothing about like alcohol or like swearing or like anything
Drugs.
sexual, no drugs. Definitely have a great show though. And I went out and it was like a World Series game and I started it off because the Cubs won with like a fucking grand slam at the it'd gone extra innings, right? So I go out, I'm like, all right, how about the Cubs? And everybody had clearly bet against the Cubs, and everybody's just like, fuck this guy. We did that one, and then we did another one where my start time was after they called the election.
Oh shit. So yeah, so the tour was called the Make America Strange Again tour because it was when was it him and Hillary?
Yeah.
So it was Trump and Hillary, and it was just like, I mean, there was no thought in my mind it was gonna be Hillary. So we're in San Luis Obispo. We're playing in this small bar kind of place called the Slow Brew, which was like every band played at Slow Brew. Everybody knows it. And so we're going on, and it's the night of the election, and it's just like, obviously taking fucking forever. So you play, people are kind of like preoccupied, but there's a decent amount of people in this bar, and I was like, okay, this is going to be a good show. And we start playing, and then like 45 minutes into our set, everybody just goes, what the fuck? and so like, we don't know what's going on. Everybody just starts booing in the middle of our set, but they're not looking at us. And I'm like, this is different. Usually when they're booing, they're looking right at me.
They're looking at the TV.
We walk off and we're like, what the fuck happened? They're like, Trump's president. And it was just unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because I remember they had us waiting for like the results to start coming in, and because we were waiting so long, like we just kept drinking like espresso and whiskey.
Oh yeah, because they have that espresso. That's actually that spot has a really nice green room.
Yeah, it was a great venue.
Yeah.
It was an
Yeah.
awesome venue. It was just
Yeah.
circumstantial.
You know what's funny? I feel like there's weird venues that even if the show, I remember certain venues based on how good their green rooms are,
100%.
and even if the show was shit, but they had like a sick ass green room, you like
Yeah.
remember those
What's
shows.
the dopest green room you've been in?
I mean, I went with you guys to Red Rocks. That was pretty sick.
Oh yeah.
The Norva's probably
Yeah.
one of the sickest too.
I mean,
Norva-
what's the spot in Pueblo that y'all play a
Bruise
lot?
Ale House.
Bruise, that place is super sick.
the people there are awesome, man. Shout out to
Man,
all
I just played the new Crocodile in Seattle.
sick.
Did you guys play the old Croc ever?
Yeah, we
Yes.
played the old one. I've never been to the new
The
one.
new one's super sick. It's like built into like a hotel, and they have like a smaller room, and like we got all the rooms in the hotel. There's only like I think there's like 8 rooms up top, but it was great because you like get off stage and then just the entire hotel is like our touring party. It was
That's
so
sick.
fun.
That's sick.
Dude, I
Yeah.
mean, Bruise in Pueblo, Colorado has a hotel attached to it now. That place is really kind of special to me because like Pueblo used to be our absolute worst market.
Yeah.
And like Denver was our best outside of Arizona. So it's like we played Denver. And then like one time we went and played Pueblo and it was just awful. And like I remember I walked into a bar with Tanner and I turned around and then like 4 guys like followed us. I'm like, dude, I'm going to fucking die here. Like they're like talking shit to us, whatever. And so we started coming back, and this dude opened up a venue, and he's young, like younger than us. His name's Tony.
Yeah.
And he's
Him
like,
and his dad owned the ale house.
yeah, but like he runs all of it.
Yeah.
I think his dad like helped him invest a little bit, but so he started this venue. It's like cool, and so we go to Pueblo and be like, fuck, here we go again. We got to go to Pueblo. And it became this like safe haven for us where every time we played Denver, we'd always add Pueblo. And then like before we knew it, we were doing like 2 nights sold out at this place in a row, like every time we come back. So it's like we now have this.
I mean, the last
Awesome.
tour we did, the last final run we did, we went and played Bruce.
Yeah,
we
we did
sold
2
it
nights,
out. Yeah.
Yeah, that spot's awesome. It's got really good food.
And what's weird too is I feel like every time we hit that place, it was near the end of our tour where we were exhausted and we hadn't slept that great and we hadn't like eten great food or something.
Yeah.
So every time we got there, it was like, oh, we have this big amazing green room.
Can we go back to the Make Night Strange Again tour and eating shit? One of my favorite things about that tour was that because I had thrown an extra body into the van, being me and being there, we would play hats. Like where we draw names out of the hat to see who would get to sleep in the bed.
We just talked about this on the last
We just
one.
talked about hats. So yeah, what do you remember about hats?
I just remember that I, for some reason, always won. Like I felt like I was doing so good, and Tanner would always sleep on the ground.
That's what we were
That's
talking
so
about
weird
last
because, like,
episode.
in my memory, like I was the one that always lost, but apparently Tanner was one. Tanner said he was most lost, and Stravers said he lost the most too.
Yeah, I felt like it was between you and Tanner would be like full screaming in his sleep, and then Tim,
That's what we talked about.
and
We
Tim
just
would be
talked
like
about-
fucking snoring, like, and it'd sound like a buzzsaw going off.
Yeah, Colby, I was saying like Colby would just wake up with everybody else's shit on top of him because we just throw it across the room.
Oh man, yeah, hats was really good, and then we'd staggered it so like the first name was the like the first name just secured a spot for you, so it'd come down to the last draw to see who would have to sleep on the ground.
Yeah, it was either you got the best or the worst right
Yeah.
off the bat.
Yeah, Andy always won. Like I just feel like he just would be like, oh,
Andy would
I'm gonna
just
take the
go
team.
and walk into the room, and you'd just be like, "All right."
Yeah.
Like I don't have the energy to just tell him no. Right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
There was some really fun stuff on that tour. The
Yeah,
van-
me and Mouse, we started doing these things where I like to coin them as poor people games.
which were just regular games to me.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, me too. Me too. We were
Yeah.
fucking broke. We'd be broke down everywhere. But me and him would just be like, all right, we're stuck in this town. I bet you $5 I can bounce this rock off this table into the trash can. And we're like, all right. Or we like flip water balls. It was like whatever we could find that we would bet on.
Yeah, it'd
and
be
we
like
just
45 minutes of like bouncing a rock.
Yeah, and it'd be like the only money we had. It'd be like, I have $10 to my name, but I'll give you all of it if you can do this.
Yeah.
Your guys' van broke down and you got the luxury Sprinter. And I just remember like you guys were like really like, oh, dude, it's gonna like really fuck our margins on this tour. And I was very much like, this is the greatest thing that could possibly happen to me. Like I don't have
you
to,
didn't have to pay
I don't have
for
to
it.
like sleep sitting up anymore. I get a bunk.
Dude, yeah, but I did not like having that because we rented that van and then we had to like, there was no like, or we rented that Sprinter or whatever, but it was all like individual seats. And we're used to having like the shitty vans with like all just like one row. So you were able to lay down, but these ones you couldn't lay down in it. So it was like 14-hour drives and you're just sitting straight up. Or you lay down and like your ribs were just like digging into
Yeah.
a seatbelt thing.
We had like the bunks in the back and they all have curtains on them. And my curtain would be open and I would be like open up my phone to text like my girlfriend at the time, and he'd be like, off, close, and he would just keep saying that until I closed the curtain so you couldn't see my phone light. Yeah, so touring with you guys, super fun.
It's super fun. So let's take it back to young. I just want to know, because I don't think I've really asked you that much about this, but
Yeah.
I want to take it back to a young Mouse Powell. Like, why? What was it like? Like, when did you start getting into music, or know that you wanted to sing or rap or use
Who
your
told
voice?
you could rap?
Who the fuck?
Nobody
said that?
told me I could. So I started off. I wanted to be a DJ as soon as I saw Linkin Park.
Really?
Yeah, I remember.
Wait.
That's the member of Linkin Park that really stood out to you?
I don't know why they had the video where they're like on this CGI like Lord of the Rings tower looking situation, and their DJ just had like can headphones, and I was like, this guy's sick.
You know what's funny about that is that the reason he tried out for Catastrophes because he said, hey, he found out there's a band that sounds like Linkin Park looking for a bass player.
That's
what his dad. That's what his dad told him.
Really?
And then
No,
he
that's
came
what
to-
So it's like a family friend from the church that me and Andy grew up in, and he was like, hey, they just lost their guitarist and their bassist. I think you can like go in and you'll be able to like do more because there's not another guitarist there, so you can like, I think it's perfect for you. They sound just like Limp Bizkit, and I was like,
Oh, Limp Bizkit.
No,
Fuck, sorry. Was it Limp Bizkit? I thought it was Linkin Park.
no, it was Limp Bizkit, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so I went and I was just like, this is not gonna be cool. And also like me and Andy, I'd only known him from the church, and so it was like awkward because I hadn't seen him in 10 years.
Right.
And we were like forced to hang out with each other. Like I had to sleep at his house, and you're just like, it was horrible.
And look at his booger wall.
Yeah, look at his little booger wall. But
Andy had a booger wall
Wait, just
where next to his
boogers?
bed, he just wipe his boogers on
Oh
it.
my god!
It was
it's
At least that's
amazing.
what Ryan remembers.
yeah,
Oh man, yeah. So I wanted to be a DJ.
Okay, sorry. Let's
No, I'm bringing it back. I gotta remember
let's
it.
keep
So
going.
I wanted to be a DJ. I got like some turntables, and then immediately realized like I don't know enough about music to be that. And I was like, the guitar is probably an easier route. So I got a guitar, and I started writing songs that way. And then through like skateboarding, I kind of just fell in this group of friends that were like really into graffiti and like super into like freestyling. And I was the dude with a car, so they'd all freestyle in my car all the time, and I would just make fun of them. And I'd be like, "You guys aren't that good," and they'd be like, "Well, you do it." And I'd
So
be
you're
like,
what, 16?
I'm like, yeah, barely 16 at this point,
Okay.
and like, yeah, it just ended up being something where I just kind of like naturally gravitated towards it, and then
Did you start freestyling with them? 'Cause
yeah,
you thought
like as like a joke, like,
yeah.
look, I can do this better than you, and then I was like, oh shit, I can, and then just kept doing it, and it just evolved into like. I was like a full-blown psychopath with like hip-hop music. Like I would listen to it relentlessly and then just like spend every single night like finding a beat on YouTube and just like writing.
Who are you listening to first though? Like who, when you started?
I was
Oh,
really
like,
into
do you
punk rock.
have the throat creaks right now?
No, I think I just drank too much bubbly water. All right, go ahead. Keep
I was
going.
super into punk rock, so I think around that time was when like Rhyme Sayers had to deal with Epitaph, and they were putting out those Punkorama
Oh
Like,
yeah, dude, I totally forgot
those
about that.
albums, and there was a song on there about 9/11 from Sage Francis, and I was like, this guy gets it.
Yeah.
So like, I started listening to like that really like weird artsy like underground hip hop stuff, and then that led me into like actual like classical hip hop, like Tribe Called Quest, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And then just from there, it just like evolved into like any direction that hip hop went. Like I remember being like 16 or 17 and going down like a huge 3-6 Mafia like rabbit hole where that's all
sick.
I was listening to was like 3-6 Mafia.
Dude, I think I was watching Intervention the other day, and one of the guys was in 3-6 Mafia.
That would make sense. You say no to Ratchet Pussy, Juicy J Cat.
No, it was the white one. Maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was Investigation Discovery.
Oh, that would also make sense. Yeah, and then I don't know. It just progressed, and then at a certain point, I just kind of started like integrating other elements of music into it. 'Cause I've always just been really into like a bunch of different genres. So, like the punk rock stuff kind of started coming through. I linked up with Danny in like 2015.
How did you meet Danny?
Yeah, we should probably
And
explain
Danny-
who Danny is on
yeah.
this because
Yeah. So Danny is he's like a magical unicorn that plays with me. He's a ginger dude who plays any instrument that you put in front of him. He's
he's like the most musical freak motherfucker I've ever met in my
It's
life.
insane. And he's so authentic, and he's the most genuine person. Like, there's never a moment where he is uncomfortable in his skin, and he's so good at what he does.
I love Danny, dude.
Yeah, every
I
time
love
I'm
his
in a room
energy.
with him, because he's so like, he knows like all of music theory. He knows
Yeah.
everything about like music, and like everybody looks at me like as if I know
Yeah.
about music theory, and I know like a little bit, and I was like classically trained, but like he is on a completely different level. So when I'm next to him, everybody's like, hey, why don't you and Danny do this? And so Danny looks at me, he's like, he just starts naming off like these like crazy things. I know like half of what he's saying, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, cool, yeah, we'll just play it and figure it out.
Dude, he's a super freak. We were recording something at one point, and he was arranging like strings for First Love, I think it was the album it ended up being on. And he couldn't figure out like the pattern he wanted to use or like the melody. And he's like, hey, can I see that MIDI controller? And it's not plugged into anything, so it's not making any sound. And he just puts it in front of him, and he starts like making these weird like facial contortions, just like, and hitting the keys and just like scrunching his face up. And he's like, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
And then just like walks in and just plays it like spot on, perfect first take.
Even though the MIDI controller's not making any
Not
noise,
making any noise.
he just needs to like
He can
set
just
his hands on
he has
it.
like the physical muscle memory of playing.
Yeah,
It's
if you like
insane.
play the chords, he knows those chords are gonna work. He's fucking wild. I love playing with him, but he's also like the biggest conspiracy theorist.
Yes.
I
love it,
like
dude.
aliens.
Yes.
He's literally on like a board of like Arizona alien people.
Yeah, he like helps
The
run
board.
the UFO. He helps
I know
run the
it's called.
UFO conference out here.
Yeah,
He runs
UFO
out the
conference.
board,
He's
the
super,
Arizona Board of
we
Alien
did a
People.
couple tours through British Columbia, like up in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's super into Sasquatch too. So like he was by it all, like anywhere we'd stop. Like he also collects magnets. He's a crazy person.
I think he knew how to make DMT at one point in his life.
Yeah.
And it just explains.
I think he might be DMT.
Yeah, I think, yeah, he's somebody else's like figment of somebody else's imagination.
Yes.
He's like he's somebody else's like it's
It's
like a
kind of crazy
hallucination
to
that
think
came
how
true.
long he's been in our life too, because the first time Catastrophe ever had a lockout space to practice,
Yeah.
we shared a spot with Captain Squeegee, which was
Yeah.
Danny's band. So we've just known Danny for years, and it's interesting, especially over the past 2 years, how heavily he's been involved with jumping into our studio to help with different projects
Right.
that me and Ryan have been
Yeah.
working on, and then all the stuff that he does for you.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just super rad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's arranged strings for some of our new shit.
We got to get him on the podcast.
You absolutely do.
I know, because I just want to talk about aliens because I don't know anything.
I want to talk about aliens,
and
a
he
lot
talks
with
to
him.
me like all right, so we all went up. I guess we haven't even said it yet, but like we've been working on your new album for the last
Like 2
year
years.
and a half, 2 years. Yeah. So we've been writing with you for a really long time for this one. And I'm also like, I play bass, mainly bass on most of your last projects. I think like the last two.
I think you've played on everything since First Love.
Yeah, I think so too. I did some synths, but I wasn't really into it. But this project is like really, like me and Stravs have taken over, and I'm doing like guitar and synths and a bunch of shit on it. And it's, to me, it's like I'm so excited about what we have coming with you.
Oh, dude, I'm so gassed on it. It's the best shit I've ever made.
Yeah, it's
Like, I feel very, very confident that is the best music that I'm going to be ever.
Yeah, I
like,
feel confident
putting
about
out
that
to
too.
this point. So
Yeah, I guess we should talk about that too, because I mean, basically, it started because you came over to my house, and this was during the pandemic, I believe, for Lemonade,
yeah,
or like maybe a few months into it or something.
Well, before that, me and Mouse would do Zoom writing sessions, and I found out how to like send Ableton's audio out to Zoom.
Yeah.
And then we would just get like drunk separately because we were afraid of like dying.
Yeah.
And we would just get drunk separately and like try to make music. And then it was just kind of like, yeah, we should do this. And then like you said, I think it was probably like 7 months later, you guys started working on that first song.
yeah. The really cool thing about it, well, I guess it wasn't cool at the time. When the pandemic hit, I had like just finished doing a really good tour with Greaves, and I had this feeling like, fuck yeah, this is taking off. Like I feel like I'm getting into the pocket, and I just put out a little project with like Matt Keller that does a lot of your guys' stuff.
Yeah.
And I was really stoked on that. And I remember I wrote like a bio that was like 2020's looking good for Mouse Powell, because I like, I got to write like my own bios and shit.
Yeah.
And then like literally like 2 months later, I lost all of my income, all of my ability to tour, because I was like working in a bar and then touring, and that was all I was doing for money.
Yeah.
And they both were just like gone. And then I like kind of sat down and like started like fully reassessing like whether or not I should make music at all.
Yeah.
And just like, I was like, you know what? All I'm going to do is I'm just going to make beats all day. I don't have a job anymore. I'm just going to ride my bike, cook food and make a bunch of weird music that like doesn't fit into whatever's expected.
Yeah, it was all different from everything else you had done before.
Yeah, so I like took a couple of those demos and we'd made a couple of things over Zoom, and I remember I just sent them to you, and because I'd seen that you'd started doing a lot more production stuff. I was like, maybe Stravers wants to like produce this out for me, because I can't write drums to save my life. And we brought you Lemonade, and it was just like, oh, this is it. I feel like this is like the pocket that I want to be in creatively with like the two of you guys. So it's been a real treat to like go through and like write all these songs and like just stockpiling. It's a great feeling knowing that we got so much good music like in the chamber.
Yeah, dude. Oh, shout to my little brother. He's actually sitting over there right now. He played guitar on Lemonade.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He rips that kind of solo shit at the end, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That was
I
a
look
fun-
over at him. He goes,
Casual nod. Your brother used to live with me too.
"Yeah, dude." And how come? Yeah.
Yeah,
Tanner,
so
too.
let's talk
Tanner
about-
as well.
Oh yeah, you lived with Tanner. Who was the worst roommate between Stravers' brother or Tanner?
Yep. I want to be honest. It was Stravers' brother, which also we can call him Danny. He's also our friend. We don't need to just.
He has a name.
He doesn't have to live in Stravers'
Well, I
shadow.
didn't know if we could say his name. I thought he was in like witness protection or something.
He is in
No,
witness
but
protection.
that's not like a slight. Tanner was the best roommate I ever had because Tanner would never come out of his room.
Oh, so because my brother came out of his room, he doesn't
Yes,
beat Tanner.
out.
That's
Tanner would
I
show
told you
up.
to stay in your room.
Tanner would show up. He would cook himself like a 5-minute meal in the kitchen, like something healthy. And then he would just go put headphones on and sit in the middle room in this house that had like revolving roommates all the time. Not say anything. Once a month, I would like bump into him drunk in the kitchen. And I'd be like, "Oh, what's up? You're still here." And he'd be like, "Yep, here's your rent." And then that would be like, that was the extent. And then at that
what a
point,
perfect roommate.
you guys were
That's
touring all the time too. So that room was just empty a lot.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
He was the ideal roommate.
That's a good roommate to have. Someone that's
On tour.
touring
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, we had some wacky ones in that house, but
So yeah, you came over. We did Lemonade, and then you said, "Well, hey, I got some other ideas," and that slowly evolved throughout the course of the last 2 years to us flushing out and writing a full album.
yeah.
Which is kind of crazy because actually in the beginning there wasn't even that kind of conversation. It just kind of happened.
Yeah,
We
just
started
really-
making more songs. And
super
then-
naturally. I think it just kind of like, I kept sending you demos. Like, what do you think about this one? And they're all like shitty like iPhone demos. I also think like the approach on this record was a lot different because it was like I would get a basic idea and I would like intentionally not overdo it with the idea, so we could bring it in and it'd be like a very loose,
Yeah.
like expand on it with like a group mind attached to it, rather than just being like, oh, I made this song and this is the drums and these are like, can you fit a bass pattern on here that sounds exactly like the bass I made but played by a professional?
Yeah. Well, and also like there's a couple songs on the album that are still have like the same like little first loops that you started way back in the day. And I don't know, for me, like I've been able to like do a bunch of like guitar and keys and synths and a bunch of stuff that's not just bass guitar.
It's
And
been
so
cool seeing you play guitar more because it makes me realize like, oh, Ryan's like pretty good at guitar, and he comes up with cool lead lines. And like, this is the first time we've done a project together where I saw you play guitar quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that has been really cool too because he's been jumping around between those different instruments and you hooked us up with and gave us your Rhodes. Not gave it. I'm not saying.
Whoa.
Ryan said
Yeah,
you
thank
gave
you
it to
for
us.
letting us have that.
Mouse left his Rhodes at our studio, and we used it heavily on your album.
I mean, I use it every single time I'm in that studio. So
Yeah.
I can't take that back.
That thing's my baby.
One thing I want to bring up that was really cool when we did Lemonade, and you brought me that song. I remember thinking like, man, this is like a different singer-songwriter kind of introspective version of Mouse that I haven't really heard before.
Yeah.
And I remember at that session, you were telling me about how, I'm considering just not doing this anymore. And you were at this point where you're like, fuck this. Like, I'm just going to make songs that make me feel good and not even worry about, like, maybe I don't even ever put these out.
Yeah.
But, like, I just want to do it for fun. And you had gotten another job that, like, around that time where you were making a good income.
Right.
You were able to not have the pressure of music being how you make all of your money. And,
Yeah.
And it was because I know that pressure is
Dude, it's insane.
It's suffocating.
It's
dude.
suffocating, dude.
And it's horrible for fucking art. It's horrible for making art.
It's awful.
If you're worried that this next thing of art that you have to come up with, or like my next creative piece has to like sustain me and pay for my rent, then it's fucking scary. And you're going to make shitty art because you're making whatever you think that somebody's going to pay money for instead of like what you actually want to do.
Yeah.
And like this new shit is just so much more. I feel like we finally found what makes you. It's like when I listen to the stuff that we've been doing now, it just reminds me of like why I'm friends with you, because it's the vibe of, you know, I just want to have a good time. We'll play dice. We'll go fucking fly fish the canals, which we did. We could talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I just like, it is so much more your vibe, and it's not trying to be anything else. And it's just like, this is you. And we're coming up with some really fucking dope shit.
Yeah, it's cool. I feel like the entire intent of what I was making changed. Like the idea of, it used to be like when I'd go on a tour, I'd know who I was going on tour with, and I would make music to cater to their fan base so I could just sell t-shirts and sustain myself to continue to make music. And it was like this really...
Well, it's like a story of how to make the best music to get you to the next level instead of being like just super honest to what's actually going on.
Yeah, and it's been a trip, man, because like making the music and just putting like what I want out of the art, which is like self-expression, and finding like a more effective way to communicate like what's going on in my life, has been like the most rewarding part about making these songs, because there's so much life in this, like in this project. There's like losing all of my income to COVID, and finding love and losing my best friend, you guys losing Andy. Like there's this crazy wave of emotions and like spectrum that like making this art has like covered, and like it's got this really cool healing process too. It's been super cathartic. But
yeah, I mean, dude, making this album, like you briefly touched on it, but it's like you lost your best friend, and then, you know, within 8-9 months or a year or whatever, we lose Andy. And it's just like, we started this just in the pandemic because we're like, he's our homie, like let's just write with him. We have all this time off, we're not going to be gone. And then it turned into like, you go through like one of the hardest times of your life.
I think it was just a couple months after Joey passed.
It was 2 months to the day.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was 2 months after Joey passed, when Andy passed. So we're all going through the same fucking
so
thing
he's
together.
going through that like right while we're writing, and then we're going through our thing while we're writing. And it's like, I mean, that also explains why it's taken us 2 years instead of just usually like going 2 weeks and then getting it done. But it's like, I'm glad that we're taking the time, because you can hear it in this music is like we were all in the same headspace, and sometimes it'd be like a little more dark, but like I don't know, it brings something more out when there's no pressure, and you're like, I just want to make a cool song with my friend. That like,
because we had started gearing up to start releasing stuff, because we released Lemonade, and that came out I think like 2 weeks after Joey had passed, and I was just like, dude, I am not in the headspace to like run an effective social media ad campaign about like how great this music is, you know.
It's interesting, man. I went through the same thing. Like after Andy, it's like the last thing you want to do for a while is even be on Instagram and look at that shit, because especially for our situation, like the amount of just like messages.
I had my phone.
You open your phone and you're just like, yo, this is too much, man. Like I can't.
Yeah, it's very overwhelming. But it was a really special process, man, because I really felt like it was a trippy thing, because like when I lost my best friend Joey, we would go into the studio together, and you guys were like this offshoot group of my close friends. Like we've known each other for years, but you know, you guys weren't like plugged in with that group of my friends. So it was like this almost like little like pocket I could go escape to. And then like 2 months later, the exact same shit happened to you guys. And it was like this weird feeling where it's like, fuck, I am still in it, but I just went through like that very raw, like unexpected loss. And sitting down with you guys, it was like this weird thing where I just felt like, fuck, I might be like the dude who's equipped to like help you guys. And like,
dude, you showed up. I remember, I think it was the day after Andy's funeral, and you just drove to the studio, and I was sitting in the studio by myself, just probably fucking sitting there crying or something. And I get a phone call from Mouse, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, sitting by myself in the studio. You're like, come outside. you just drove to the studio. I got in the van with you. And I think we went and got lunch, and you also brought me a plant for the studio. And I remember at that moment,
that's when you guys got the roads.
Yeah.
It was
and
the same day.
I remember at that moment being like, Mouse is a good fucking friend, man. And I think it's weird how when you go through losing somebody like that, you're right. You're equipped with some of the tools necessary to like be there for your friends when they're going through the same thing.
Yeah, grief's such a weird thing.
And I appreciate that a lot, man. I think about that day a lot.
Yeah.
I remember that meaning a lot to me because you didn't ask me if you could come over there. You just showed up and you're like, "Hey, come outside." I was like, "That's awesome."
Yeah, I feel like that's super necessary.
I don't even think you texted me.
I didn't.
I did-
I'm-
Yeah.
I was like, figure it out.
I said, "Should we invite Ryan?" He's probably crying too, and he said, "Oh, fuck Ryan."
No. I'm gonna shoot Tanner a heartfelt message, but this guy.
Yeah. No,
He'll work it out.
That was just rad, dude. Because I just remember how hard that time was for all of us, and yeah, it's weird too. And when I listen to the album, all the songs on your new album,
Yeah.
that sense of just taking a step back, revisiting why am I making music? What does it even mean to sit down and make music? Like, what's the point of doing that?
Right.
And it's like what you said earlier. It's like to heal yourself and to tell your like true story of like what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because we have this like story of what to do to make money and get the most fans and have the most poppin' song when you play live. But really, it's like I think what people want is they just want to feel something. And if you get some shit out of you when you're in the studio that feels real to you, it's gonna feel real to other people no matter what.
Yeah, I feel like part of my personality is like the thing I value most is like authenticity, right? So
Most
the thing that I value the most is authenticity, which is why I like
authenticity.
I hate you so much right now. But that's like why I think I gravitate towards like Danny is a weirdo. You know what I mean? Like Danny is like the strangest, most authentic person though, and like that's the type of shit that I really, really enjoy being around, and like that's kind of what I try to like create with the music is just a way to like express where I'm at. And there's times where like I'll go back and listen to a song like months after we made it, and it'll suddenly just connect to me in a way I'm like, oh,
that's why I had to make this song.
that's what I was trying to say to myself, but I didn't fucking realize it.
I can't even tell you how much I'm experiencing that on an insane level with the Catastro album because
I bet.
there's songs that are hitting me now where I'm like, oh, we made that song 2 days before Andy died so that I could hear that in this moment and sit in my car and just start crying. And like by myself on the side of the freeway. Like there are songs on our album that have hit me that way. And I'm realizing through making your album and us continuing to finish the Catastro album that in that process of doing that, it's cathartic and it's helping me heal and get through all the shit that I'm trying to get through. So that's such a cool part of music, man.
Yeah, it's really like, I don't know, going back, like after Andy passed, it was my first thing was I started listening to our music like 2 days later because I was like, I don't want to feel sad every time I hear the band. You know what I mean? Like this is something where we still have so much work to do. I already knew that. Like I wasn't thinking like, oh, I have to get in the studio and do this, but it's just like, this is the biggest thing in my life. I've done this my entire life. This is all I've ever given a fuck about. I don't want to feel sad every time I think about my biggest priority, you know?
Right.
And so I would sit and I would listen and I would just break down immediately. And it's just like, just even basic songs I'd never listened to, or even songs that we made that I wasn't like, I didn't like that much, you know? And I'd hear it and I'd just be like, fuck, like, okay. But listening to the new stuff that we have, and it's like, this is what we've been trying to make, and we were like stopped so short in the process. And the fact that we're even able to have as much as we do, which we're not talking about like too much in depth about like what's going on or who's on it or anything, but it's like, just, it's really amazing to me just how that project is coming along. And then the stuff we're doing with you, like, I feel like every time I work with you, I have, like, it brings out my best lines. You know, like, I feel like my coolest bass lines that I've ever recorded are honestly on some of your songs, and, like, my favorite guitar parts I've ever done.
I am for sure your muse, if that's what you're getting at.
You are my muse, is what I'm trying to say.
You are.
Yeah, there's a lot of pictures of me in Ryan's house. They hang, like, directly
You're
above
his mermuse.
I am his mermuse, dude.
Yeah, but you're my mermaids for sure. I told them all before we did the podcast, I was like, you guys have to watch this show about mermaids on Netflix.
There's so many puns. First of all, do you watch regular TV? Like, are you, is like, this
what do you
all,
mean?
I haven't watched regular TV in
I watch
probably
like
a decade.
I
don't
watch
know what
like
I'm
a
doing with
normal
this
human being
anymore.
show. Like I like a Ted Lasso. You know what I mean? I enjoy like a feel good
You like Ted Lasso?
situational comedy. Ryan will be like, have you seen this show? And it's mer people, and it is just like a documentary about fucking
My mic stand's falling down.
the strangest amount of people who are like professional mermaids.
Yeah.
Dude, my favorite part is the Coalition of Fat Mermaids.
Yes. Yeah, the Society of Fat Mermaids, sign me up, dog. I'm in.
Dude, it's so amazing because it's all these people that like, if you go to Vegas and there's a giant aquarium, you see a person wearing a mermaid suit. The whole documentary is about them and everything. They answer their phone and they go, "Shallow, my sister," and they call it like everything is a fucking like you said. It's a pun.
The whole thing is a pun. It's insane.
All right.
And there's one dude who's got like, he's got like a mer mom, who's just like a lady who's like objectively the same age as him.
Yeah.
And she's just like some lady who's enabling him to be a mermaid. She's like, I just know
I
he's
gotta
going to be the
take-
biggest
Here, wait.
mermaid.
Let's pause it for a sec. We're gonna pause it and come right back. All right, we're back. Sorry, my Ryan's mic stand fell down. We had to make a little adjustment. You know.
Yeah, my bladder was also going to explode and my throat kept creaking.
That was a nice little pee break.
Yeah. I just used my pants.
Yeah.
So that's chill in the new studio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't own this place, so you can piss honestly wherever you want.
Perfect. Feel just at home now. What were we talking about? Mer people?
I think we were just about to get into that mer people. It's the documentary on Netflix about mermen and mer women and mer thems.
Mer
Thems, dude.
Black Exotic, is that his name? Because that's a really bad name to guess if it's not correct. I don't know if that's it, actually.
Was that his name? I really don't think it was. I think his name's like, no, his name's Bix Tsunami.
Oh my God. All right.
So
yeah,
all these
wrong.
people make. So I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
I was supposed to. I didn't do my homework. You guys told me I was supposed to watch that before the podcast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are these people making money off pretending to be mermaids?
They're trying
Arguably,
to.
no.
Yeah. The main lady in the entire documentary has a lot of tape on her car the whole time.
Yeah.
So no, these people are like, they're trying out for these. There's like these small aquariums in Florida, apparently, where it's how deep are they? Like 15 feet? They're like, they look deep.
They're big ass aquariums.
And so these people go and they try out and they do these shows for like, it's a room of like 20 people total. So there's absolutely no way you can ever possibly make money.
Is there a pool in there?
Yeah, no, it's just this big fucking aquarium that's like 15 feet tall and it's thin.
In glass, so you can just see them
In glass,
inside
and
of
the
it?
people drop down and then they do ballet. And they like dance.
Are any of them that really bad at it? In the
Most of
documentary?
them, I think. Or some of them are really good.
Yeah.
Well, what
like,
does it look like to be good at
Oh, you know when you see
Mermaning.
it. There's some of them where you're like, this guy is born
They
for this.
cover the tryout. They cover like the tryout process of
This
it.
guy's born for this.
No, my favorite, there's one guy who's like, so I've been sober for like 6 months. I was doing methamphetamine for years, but this is just like a huge opportunity for me. Don't pay any mind to the accent that I'm doing. But he's like, this is a huge opportunity for me. I just like really want to kill this. And so he gets a job, but he doesn't get the job of like being the actual mer person. They have him.
Wait, are
like,
they called mer persons?
Meeple?
Meeple.
I don't know. It's everything they say is mer in front of it. It's like my mer husband.
My mer mom, my mersona.
My mersona. Yeah, that's a good one.
Mersona's really good. That's like your attitude as a mer person.
It's like, or persona.
Yeah.
Maybe. No, but this dude goes and he gets a job as like just like the fucking aquarium bitch, and he's just like dumping buckets of like gross water out in the alleyway, and then like episode 3 or something.
Aquarium bitch.
Yeah. Like episode 3, he's like, well, I goofed and I did meth again. And then like the people like sit down with him. They're like, we really believe in you. Like you can be a real mermaid. Like you look like an actual fish and like you got it. And he like gets his life together. And like you're like rooting for him. You're like, this guy's awesome. Like he's not like the best mermaid or merman, but he like really, really wants it. And they show him practicing and he just goes in like a lake in a neighborhood and just holds his breath underwater.
He
It's
goes
insane.
in a park that's like being irrigated.
There's one episode where they're like throwing like a Halloween mermaid exhibit, and they're all painted like skeletons, and they're like building it up through this whole episode. Like, this is gonna be the biggest show we've ever done. This is gonna be a huge thing, and then like 15 people show up to this thing.
No, to team up for it. So this dude. All right, there's this famous aquarium in Florida that was like the original one, and there's all these old ladies that they interview, which is really cool because you could tell they were on like the peak of like.
Dude, didn't we go to that?
No, we didn't. We never saw mermaids in person.
We went to an aquarium in Florida.
We went to an aquarium in
It was in Florida.
South Carolina, and we held alligators. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I was thinking of something else.
Anyways, so there's like this like classic one. I forget what it's called, but it's in Florida, and they keep interviewing these like 65-year-old, 70-year-old women, and they were like hot back in the day, and they were like the first mermaids, and it was like on the peak of like the tiki wave, and it's like they're dope. Like I actually really liked it. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And they're talking about like how their life was impacted by being a mermaid, and people would come to their shows, and they were like little celebrities. And there was like no safety protocol back then, and they would make them like hold their breath underwater and then swim through like a 20-foot tunnel that was underwater until they could get air again. It was like wild. But so I don't know. So now there's this new guy who's trying to like make his own one because the original one closed down. He refinances his home like 3 times.
Yeah, he took out like 2 mortgages on the crib.
His mom's on the show like, I don't know how. Yeah, she's like, I don't think we're gonna be able to recover from this. And he's like, I got it. We're going to do a Halloween one. And she's like, the whole house is building up on this. And then they're like about to jump in the water, all these people in their little fucking like plastic suits. And he's like, how many people are there? And she's like, it's like 15. And you just look in his eyes, and it's like he's losing the house.
Yeah.
And his husband's name is Blue.
His husband's name is Blue. Yeah, that show, I want to know what monster lives inside of your head.
I want to know what happens to a person.
It's an abominable sea monster, probably.
Yeah.
What happens to someone when they need to go down that route and find fulfillment through?
So every single one of them
pretending you're a
had
mermaid.
been to like the original one in Florida when they were kids, and it sparked something in them that they're like, I'm a fucking fish.
Yeah.
Like every single one, I think, right? They were all like,
They all had some kind of connection to that aquarium.
yeah.
Maybe they got dosed at that aquarium as children.
Ooh.
They got the
Mermaids.
the meeple dose.
Yeah.
They got meeple
That was
dose.
so bad.
What'd you say?
They got mermaids. Oh, my.
They caught the bug.
Yeah, they just close the show out and it just says Finn.
No, it literally does.
It's so good.
So good. No, my favorite is there's like a competition on a cruise ship where it's just like, it's like 30 people. So the cruise must have been docked because it's like 30 people in like these suits, and they're like going for like best mermaid in America. And it's on a Virgin cruise line.
I can tell how much Ryan likes this shit.
Dude, I
by talking
love
about-
this stuff. Like this kind of shit is like, this is my shit. But no, as soon as I saw it, I texted Danny, who we were talking about earlier, and I was like, dude, I found a documentary and it's all your people. Like, this is so you. And he goes, I know what I'm watching tonight, and it was 1 a.m. So he was about to
He
start a
responded
new
at 1
series.
a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Danny.
Hey,
That's 7 a.m.
Is
to
Danny
Danny.
big into Bigfoot?
Yes, he likes Sasquatch and Bigfoot. He is not interested at all in ghosts. That's a common denominator when we talk about the UFO convention. He's like, it'd just be so good if these fucking ghost people would stay out of it.
So the ghost people.
Like, these guys are really like ruining our credibility.
These fucking psychopaths that think they're
I'm trying to
drawers
show
are-
up and talk about aliens seriously, and these ghost people are ruining it.
It's so, dude. He's the greatest.
Yeah,
I could sit here and tell you how much I love Danny for like 5 more hours. I
love him
am
too.
enthralled with him.
Yeah.
He went to
The last time we were in the studio with him, or not the last time, but one time, he was telling me about. We were talking about Tom DeLonge forever.
Yes.
Because he has friends that are also friends with Tom.
Yeah.
And it was like an hour conversation about aliens and just. It's awesome.
He'll get text messages from like Jeremy Corbell.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's a fucking
Who's that?
he's the guy.
Jeremy
that's like,
Corbell, he's been on Rogan a few times
Yeah.
because he did that documentary for Bob Lazar.
Lazar,
Bob
yeah.
Lazar. He's the director of that documentary. So he's
Yeah.
friends with Danny,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That just shows how lonely alien people are, is that they're willing to just text like that far into their contact list.
No
and be
way,
like,
dude. I think I
No,
don't
Danny's
know.
high up there. He deserves
I
that
think
stuff.
he's like he's in the
Danny's an
7th
ambassador,
layer.
bro.
So like when we were writing your album, it was like maybe like, I don't know, 4 months after Andy passed away.
Mm-hmm.
You were like, hey, let's go to Flagstaff and let's start recording. And we'll just do like, how many days were up there? Like 3 or 2?
Yeah, it was It was like 3 days.
Yeah. And so we went up there, and so at first it was just us three, and like we started writing. We're doing like a song a day. It was really good. And then Danny shows up on like the last day, I think. And so he's there, and we're like drinking all day. And I just started asking him about like aliens, and I was like, "Is it legit?" Which is the funniest question you can ask somebody that obviously knows it's legit. And so he was telling me shit. He was like telling me that the aliens actually look like they look in movies. And it's because the government knows what aliens look like, so they want to put them in movies looking that way to discredit people. So when people say they see a figure that looks like an alien in a movie, that they're just like, "Oh, you saw that in a movie."
Yeah.
And I was like, kind of makes sense.
Well, that's a common practice governments use for, you know.
You guys have to get him on here.
Yeah.
No, we're going to. Maybe we should have both of you guys on.
Oh, I'd love that. I like to like think of myself as like a Dan Slater.
Yeah.
If you will, like put us in a venue together, and I think that's why our friendship's been so dope. Is like we're just like very different people, but like I just love him so much that like when you put us in a green room together, he's like laying on the couch in mermaid pants and like AstroTurf sandals, and then like someone comes in, he's like, "I think I will have a." And I'm like, "Oh, he would like a cold water if you guys can get that for him. If you can give my guy a cold water, I'll pour it down his throat for him. Like this is my sweet baby boy. I love him, dude. Like,
dude, he's the best.
I would love to have.
I always notice when he walks into our studio, he just has this really good energy about him.
Yeah.
That makes me feel good when he walks into the room.
Yeah.
He's just got this. It's this. I don't know what it is, dude, but it's this magic kind of. I just love when he's around. No, it makes me feel good when he's around.
He's not human. He's different.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into the story because I honestly think like we're obviously going to have him soon.
Yeah.
So, but I just want to remember the skydiving keto story, and we'll talk about that next time we're on him. But we should have both of you guys on.
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
that'd be super
it'd be
fun.
really funny.
That would be really great.
He played trumpet on the new song we're about to put out.
Yeah. So actually, we should talk about that, bro. So what's the next move right now that we got on the books for Mouse Powell?
Which camera should I be looking at? A specific camera to make
just
announcements?
Look at my eyes, his eyes.
You can look at either of them.
I'm gonna make the rounds. We have a brand new song coming out. No, you're gonna have some editing to do, dude. No, the next song coming out is the song called Reaper.
Yep.
And I'm so just like,
which we just shot a video for.
Wait, is there an E in that word? Or
for it? Huh?
There's an E in that word?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not just straight, just R-A.
No. R-E-A.
Cool. All right, just making sure.
No, man, it's a fucking awesome song. We just shot a crazy video for it. It's kind of like the whole relaunch of like me coming out of like not making and putting out music forever. So like it's gonna be like the first thing that people see, and I'm so excited about like the rollout of it.
Me too. Based on what I've seen so far, I'm like really pumped on it.
It's got a crazy feature on it from this dude that I'm a huge fan of from Fresno, California. His name's Fashion. He's a rapper that I was like just like enthralled with when I was like in my early 20s, and like still just such a big fan of. He was on Nas's label, Mass Appeal. So it's this crazy song, and I'm so excited for it to get out.
Dude, it turned out sick. The beat hits.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
It's such a cool, like all the horns and Ryan's bass and
dude, it's the like, ending is like, so we do like a switch up at the end of it. Actually, we should probably just play that song as the outro for this episode.
Yeah.
Since this will probably be out at the same time.
So. Yeah. That's
sick.
That's a great idea.
We'll just play that as
we'll
the
just
outro.
roll that out. But the outro of the song is like I did a weird like bass chord thing, and then we took all the bass out of it, and I did another bass line under it, and then added some keys, and it's just like this whole like soul-ish kind of like
it's
vibe.
got like a full 180 switch up, right? Because like the first half of the song kind of has like this like almost like Tribe Called Quest like running bass line, like very fucking like fast bass line, and then it goes to like a weird guitar sample that I had played, and like then goes to like just like a straight like West Coast weed song for the hook, and then Fash's verse, and then all of a sudden it just changes up to this like down tempo, like very like singer songwriting soulful like I'm so excited for the switch up. Like it's
Yeah, dude,
it's
I
such a
love
cool
it.
surprise
his
for people.
verse is sick too.
Yeah,
I remember when we got the stems for his vocals for that, and we were all like, "Yeah, this is sick."
Yo, that dude's so good at ad libs.
Yeah, his ad libs for that
They're
track
so-
are fire.
He
Yeah,
said
so
like
you had to go through all the ad libs. I haven't heard like all of them, but
he said
Yeah.
like more ad libs than there is verse. It's amazing. Like and
Yeah.
that's like something I'm so like uncomfortable doing is like shit talking on a song and just like hearing something and just responding to what I just said with like something like similarly on topic.
Yeah.
He's like alkalized water.
Yeah.
It's like oh,
Roll
we're
that
talking
shit
about
up,
weed,
Mouse.
alkalized water.
Yeah, he says alkalized water at some point. Yo, that was the first song I ever tracked horns. I had never recorded horns before.
Yeah.
And I remember Danny showing up for that session and doing that and getting really stoked on like how big it makes a song sound when you
Yeah.
have, I don't know.
Dude, I remember the last day at the cabin up in Flagstaff when we were writing the album, and Danny was like, "Oh, I think I'm just gonna do a little horn section or like a horn part," and I was so hungover and I was sitting in this chair,
And it ended up taking
And
like
it
2 hours.
It was the loudest fucking thing I've ever heard, and I was just like, "No, like fucking stop."
They are, dude. Horns are fucking
They're
loud.
Well,
bro.
especially him. He's so good.
and we were
like,
just in a little
Yeah.
house. Yeah.
like trumpet, like all like woodwind instruments and like brass instruments are so fucking hard to play.
Yeah.
Like I've known him since high school doing like jazz band and shit, and so it's just like he's fucking talented. He's a freak.
When's the
but-
song drop? When does Reaper drop?
Reaper drops June 23rd, and I think this is coming out like just right after that, so it should already be out. I think.
Well, way to fucking spoil it for everyone. That's
You
not
know,
live.
it's okay. It's okay. I'm so fucking hyped on the rollout though. Dylan Toon shot like a really crazy video for it. We
We had Chris Fick show up, which
Yeah.
is Katastro's photographer.
yeah, he's the man. Fick is so
Yeah.
good at what
he belongs
does.
to us. Did you hear that? He's Katastro's photographer.
Yeah, and
Ours.
Iration. If you're out there, Iration, he's still ours.
Yeah, Iration.
We still
He's
own
ours.
him. You guys can borrow him.
Chris's heart belongs to us.
I like to picture that you guys just have like a Harry Potter-esque like room under some stairs that he lives in. And once a year, you're like, all right, you can go to Hogwarts, which is the Iration tour, but
Yeah.
you got to come back
You gotta
every
come
summer.
back.
Dude, he would do this thing on tour where Chris is like a very like small framed fella,
Yeah.
and he would sleep, but he would put like the blanket over him, and so it literally just looked like a cadaver like everywhere you go. So we'd be on tour, and there would just be like you'd walk out to like the couch, and it would just be a blanket perfectly laid out with like a
body
skeleton
under
under it, and then I would take pictures and I'd send it to Andy. I was like, he looks dead here, and then every day I would just take a picture of him while he's sleeping. I never told him. Actually, I don't think he knows that I did that.
He's gonna find out
I've
now.
got a ton of them on my phone though.
That's not creepy or anything. It's,
Yeah, Chris, the photos for this shit look sick.
Dude,
Yeah.
everything looks really good.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you to finally be dropping this. And we both talked about it so much about how much we believe in this project, and like, you know, I've put like everything I can into it, and I know Stravs has too, and it's just like it's turning out so fucking great. And I'm just really excited for you to get it out there and people to see, like, you know, it really encapsulates you the most out of anything you've ever done.
yeah, I feel like really just stoked to have made it with you guys. Like it's a fucking banger project. And like as the nice thing about this is just like the start of rolling out all these songs, and the cadence of it's just going to be crazy. There's just going to be a bunch of music coming out, and like I think that it just continuously will get better, which is like
Totally,
crazy.
man.
Yeah.
It's
then-
crazy how much you learn every time you make a project.
Yeah.
How much you learn about what you loved about that, and
Yeah.
then maybe what you could have done better, and then using that into whatever you do in the future.
Yeah.
It's exciting. But yeah, dude, I'm really excited for people to hear this shit, man.
I'm
It's-
pumped. Super
There's
pumped.
a few songs on this album that have absolutely made me cry when I'm listening to them. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a crier though. You know, I
You
cry
do be
sometimes.
crying, dude.
I be crying
Yeah,
sometimes.
you're definitely a crier.
But no, man, there are some really special songs. All the songs are really special, and especially what we've gone through. There's some songs that have really hit me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, I can't wait for the world to hear these, and for other people, like, you know, if you listen to the Camp Podcast and you're not following Mouse, you guys need to see what's up, because
Follow me.
the new album is gonna be awesome, and
We're all over it, and yeah, we fucking love it. We love
Yeah,
you.
dude.
You're the homie.
Love
Yeah,
you
bro.
guys.
Me and you are gonna go try to catch some carp in a fucking canal next week again.
Yes. We're back to Port.
wait, we gotta
Wait,
start.
before-
We gotta start
before we-
filming this, dude.
I know, we should. Yeah, we should
film
probably
that.
do
And
film the
can I
next one.
come? I've never done it.
Do you wanna
I've never-
come?
I haven't
Yeah.
fished since I was
You
11.
can watch our bags on
Yeah,
like,
you
the canal. Someone
you
needs
can, you
to.
can untangle me every 15 minutes.
I think me and Dan went fishing once when we were like 8 or 9.
But
Sad.
right before, I think like we should probably close out the episode.
Yeah.
But we just went fishing last week at the canals, trying to like grab some massive, like 3-foot fucking carp. It was fun. But it's just like, it's more to like practice fly fishing and stuff. And as soon as we get to the spot, we found a bar that had a parking lot like right on the canal. So we parked there. We went fishing for like 3 hours and we went to the bar after. And the first thing he does is he puts his keys in his fucking gas tank and then closes it and then realizes he has to be inside of his car to unlock the gas tank.
It was as I was closing it too. Like I could, like as I was pushing it, I was like, oh, there's no way I'm gonna be able to get these back.
No, like,
I just couldn't stop myself.
We're like, I'm introducing him to like my friend that I go fishing with all the time, and so I was like, yeah, well, blah blah, and he just goes, I just locked my keys in my car. And he's like, actually, I'm borrowing this car from my girlfriend. I have to have her mom come drop off keys.
That's such a whack feeling when you lock your keys in your car.
Dude, it was so bad.
It was really funny, but dude, it was a great day. I didn't catch anything. I was stuck in like barbed wire and trees most of the time. But
fly fishing's so sick. I remember I found out that you fly fish, and it's kind of like finding out that like your friend has like another like really weird niche thing that you can share.
Yeah.
So it's just like wait.
That's awesome.
Like it's such a strange, cool I love fly fishing. And
Dude,
fly fishing in the
too,
canal
yeah.
is special too because you kind of got to like make sure that you don't get stabbed while you're doing it.
Dude, I was wearing this like giant fanny pack and I was crossing one like a major road in downtown Phoenix with a giant like a 10-foot fucking rod across the street. And I looked at my friend and I go, I used to drive past canals and see people fishing it and think they were such fucking losers. And look at me. And I'm wearing shorts and a fucking fanny pack.
I've become my
a
worst
big
nightmare.
hat. Yeah. But dude, it's fun. Like it's a like perfect spot to just practice. And Tanner earlier was telling me that he thinks that you've probably eaten a carp before, and is that true?
No. A homeless dude asked me one time if I ate them before, and I was like, nah. And he's like, they taste just like they smell. And I was like piss? And he's like, yeah.
He's like, everything smells like piss though, huh? And you're like, I think it's you.
Yeah, pretty sure this odor just followed you, my friend. Yeah, you can eat them. That's like the one old man fishing joke I have is how to cook a carp.
No, so like when fly fishing, you have to do all these fucking like you have to learn how to like do all these different knots to tie different things together. But like most of the time, you have to like put it in your mouth and it has to be wet for it to like stick together. And so I was like tying shit on, and I like realized I'm like, dude, this has been in the canal all day, and I have it in my fucking mouth. And then for the rest of the day, I was like convinced I was gonna get some sort of like bacteria infection.
Oh no!
All right, but anyways, I think we should call it episode. I don't know why every single week I'm the one that says we should call it, but I think it's time.
You have a crick in your throat.
You do have a crick in your
I
throat.
do, and I need to.
It might be from the canal water.
Bro, it might be.
He just got scared.
Wait, I got like a little tadpole in there.
Yeah, it's either food poisoning or the canal water.
I really thought I was gonna get food poisoning, but it's like it's not food; it's just canal water.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yo,
Love you, Mouse.
Love
thanks
you
for
guys.
being on the Camp podcast. Thank
Go
you.
stream Reaper.
Yeah, thank you all for listening to Camp, man. We'll see you soon.
It's a pleasure just to be here alive, but no comply since 2005 until the afterlife. And if you meet the devil, tell him I'm from Phoenix. I already know what heat is. Hell is just a remix on trend like Glocks and Adidas. Turn this shit up till you pop in your speakers. Yo, I will only tell your ass one time.